Now we'll be talking about, let's just consider business continuity and disaster recovery within and outside the cloud service provider of your primary conjunction over there. So let's just consider the business continuity, and disaster recovery for them. So let's just start with the something that is the before I start with the load balancing, one thing which we have talked about, that was the availability zones and region, and I hope you remember few things regarding them. So we were talking about the regions, we were talking about the zone. So first thing that we have to understand, if you remember our that whole conversation, I think it should be somewhere in, I think, second week, third week, somewhere, I think, infrastructure security towards the end, right? Like here. So what we were talking about, we were talking about the zones, different zones. So when I'm talking about the zone, like in the AWS and in the Azure, both is having same kind of thing. You can look at it here. Okay. So first thing is zoning. So there is the zones. Okay, zones and regions in Azure. Let me search this thing. Okay, regions here. So each region, if you'll be seeing over this particular page, there is the region, there is going to be the availability zones, the diagram that they have created. So zone will regions is like when we were deploying in the East US, West US, East US 2, a particular region is there. Then within that region, some of the region will be like, is going to give you the feature of availability zones. Means within a East US, there are three different physical data center of the Microsoft Azure. So here you will be seeing that what should be the range between them, and they have the round trip of the latency ms less than 2 ms, and so in the East US there are three different physical centers, so that in the case when if one center goes down, another is still available over there. So there is this availability zone over there. Then there is something, one more term that goes here is going to be, just to check zone here. Okay, this is the command. Actually, cross regional application and everything that what we have discussed, it is talking about the same. So actually I was requiring something more different. So there is the definition one. I will be dropping this link for you. Azure geography. That would be much better. And I'm hoping that I have shown you this page. This is the page, right? So first we have is the geography. Like if I will go for the geography of your the state of India, let's just go United States. Okay. So in the United States, these are the regions: Central US, East US 2. Now, can you see Central US is available with three zones? Means there are three physical data centers. Okay. And in East US 3, there is no physical data center. So not all regions have this, but just in case why they are having this, that if your VM was running on the this physical data center's physical server, if it goes down, still there are the two others where your machine can still be deployed, and you have the ability to go ahead and give your infrastructure a higher availability over there. Plus, you will see when we are talking about the disaster recovery, there is always something that they call the cross region replication. So I will open this link. So you'll be seeing that there is going to be the region pairs. Okay. So if you open this one, these are the cross region. Just in case that their whole region is also down, they can replicate to its peer, okay, peer location. So here, if you will see, these are the region pairs. These are some of the region pairs over here. Like if you will look, okay, let me just take you to the somewhere in the US part, right? So now if you will notice, East US. So if you are having your resources deployed to East US and you want to, if anything goes there, goes wrong, its region pair is the West US. Okay. So they will try to, when, let's say that somehow all the Azure is down, means throughout the globe, a whole geography is down, United States is down. So in that case, what will happen? In that particular scenario, they will try to, I make when they will start recovery. In the recovery process, first they will try to get each one of the region pair available so that some of the disaster recovery services can start recovering and deploy onto its region pair. So handle those things when something goes wrong. If there is something like like I was talking about the ZRS, zone redundancy. Okay, there was the GZRS, geo zone redundancy, the GRS, your geo redundancy in the storage account. When you remember those examples, if one region down, still another region is still running. So there are few features which will start automatically replicating over there. So we will try to go and see those kind of a features, because I have bring this cross region here. I think I should be showing you the bit of the demo and example of this, that how these region pairs they actually work. Okay, so just remind me of that. So first thing is that you have the availability zones and region, and you should be taking the advantage of within. When we are talking about the business continuity disaster recovery within, take advantage of this architecture, zones, disaster recovery, which is within the cloud. Options are available. Then there is the load balancing. So when we talk about the load balancers, what they allow request of a network compute to be distributed across multiple workload for great efficiency and good response time. Right? Workload distribution in general they do. Now, in case of cloud consumption, this could be across internal network or internally configured load balancer, and the geographic region as well. In as in the case of the similar to your external load balancer, and there may be some of the multi-cloud option that you are allowed to extend outside your primary location as well. And for the one of the best example for this one is going to be that aviatric services, right? Which can help you with the your cross your what not cross border but kind of a with the help of your aviatrix, the third party provider. So this is going to provide it with the your this is going to work with your what I would say uh, multiple other different cloud vendors as well. Then there is going to be the bit of the while the intention is to increase or support the performance, load balancer they can also be the component of your disaster recovery and your continuity, right? They can help you to make your infrastructure resilient. Like in my architecture courses like AZ104, I talk about that there could be different kind of the load balancer, could be external, internal. Internal is within a VNet, you have different subnet, and between the subnet you are deploying the load balancer. Then between different VNet as well, those will be the internal subnet. And then you have deployed between even different subnets. Sorry, a VNet, you have deployed the load balancer. Or then there will be something like the traffic which is coming from the internet. There you have deployed some external load balancer traffic is coming from there to the internal network. So this is how you have you could be using the load balancer to improve the your resiliency. And there is the option of the cloud-based load balancer which can use the feature of your all the zones and all things that you have seen over here, right? After load balancing, what we will be also saying, you know actually something apart from this, I just directly, rather than jumping into the chaos engineering, let's just discuss one more thing, that like if you'll be going into the courses of the CSAs, CCSK and all, they talk about the different levels. Like they talk about infrastructure level, your cloud has the infrastructure level, then meta structure level, appli structure, application list structure, and then the information structure. So for each, what we have to think is, if we talk about each of that should be having the business continuity and disaster recovery as well. Like if I'm talking about the infrastructure, we are talking about the high availability, which is just compared to your if infrastructure is with whom, with your cloud service provider. So there, it will be the similar, the cost and everything will be same as your traditional data center. But you have to adjust few things for the cloud. Okay. And when we are talking about the infrastructure service and you are defining something, so rather than multiple time we do what? We do the lift and shift kind of a thing. Right. So whenever you are doing the thing, like I was having a Windows server in the, there was a Windows server that I was having in the my organization, and now I want to bring it to the cloud. And if I will do direct lift and shift, it might not be able to take advantage of the cloud properties like your availability zone or anything. So first you have to prepare, make few changes here, make the changes like its network and everything, and make it a part of the some availability zone. You have to tweak few things here so that you can have, rather than doing direct lift and shift, just try to change few things, it's infrastructure wise, so that we can use the disaster recovery and business continuity properly over there. Then for the, when we are talking about the software which is controlling your whole cloud configuration, right? So, these configuration, you should be backing those up in the some restorable format, right? It is not possible in the SaaS environment, but there are tools to implement them in the IS form, format over there. Then there is the application structure or appli structure, what they call. So this is like the, what we are talking about. We are talking about the things like code, message queues, and things of those things which will be helping you to create an in application. So whenever you are creating a cloud-based application, you are building it on the top of either a PaaS service or information as a structure service. So these structure like IaaS and the PaaS, they have the option of resiliency recovery, okay, on those particular layers. So what you have to do, you should just not assume anything. You should be going and talking about and thinking about these, multi-cloud connectivity options. Can they provide multi-cloud connectivity option, and can we use the availability zone with them as well? So think about them as well. You have to backing up that code, message queues, the database that is in the backend, right? So when I'm talking about the database, it is bringing me to the fourth part, which will be the infrastructure, right? Which will be concerned about the data synchronization. So, what we are generally doing, we have seen in this one that we just generally try to manage our data across the multiple region, across the different data format, okay? And we have to make sure that if you are going to, extract the data to some other cloud vendor, so they are interoperable, they are portable in case you need to go to the new cloud service provider, right? Because there is a chance that not with the IS or PaaS service provider, but if I'm talking about a small software as a service provider, so there is a fair amount of chance that they might go out of business. Okay, let's say that they were a startup, they were not that much well funded, and what if they go out of business? Then it will be creating the bit of the problem for us over here. Now we have to consider that situation and find a workaround with that particular one over here, right? So this is the something regarding your those structure. I think that it is worth mentioning them over here. And something, one a case study that I was reading, Netflix is the one who has kind of mastered this thing. Actually I was reading this thing, so I will be introducing that case study as well over here, that what terms they are using over there. So when we are talking about this thing now, other thing that we have to consider is going to be the chaos engineering, and it required the optimal testing environment to be live and continuous, right? So actually what we were talking about, I was telling you that chaos engineering is just we try to just go and try to, in simple terms, I will try to go ahead and try to my break down my production environment, okay, and just kind of make my one part of my production environment unavailable just to test out that how much I'm prepared for the, and how I should be prepared for the any business, any disaster over there. So I was talking about that what happened is chaos engineering, it required the optimal testing environment to be live and continuous. And Netflix, they have embraced this chaos engineering, which you know has helped them to create a simian army, which is the outgrow of their original chaos monkey. So what they have done, they have introduced few terminologies over there. So if I will be introducing those terminologies, so what they have there, three terminologies that they have introduced. So if I will talk about the Netflix's, your terminology case study. So there is first they started with something that they were calling the chaos uh, chaos monkey, right? This was their first script. Then they move somewhere around the year chaos monkey to chaos gorilla. Okay, and then they move somewhere around the your chaos Kong, these things, right? So these three factor what they are. So when you will be going on to the any other business continuity disaster recovery, the same thing that we always talk about in the cloud environment. So first is the chaos monkey, which is the imposed VM failure. So it was an script. It is an script which is imposing failure on some random your production VM, and it could be like unplugging a live production server from its power. So it is designed to expose assumption about the resilience. So by 2013 itself, Chaos Monkey has killed over 60,000 instances. And what they have learned, what they learned from that particular Chaos Monkey itself is that state is bad, clusters are good, you know, and instant survival are not sufficient. So those were the some output that they have written on their website. Which means that paper that you'll be reading, that what they have learned through that. So from that chaos monkey, these were the some output that you need to focus on the resiliency. You should be focused on the cluster of the services and all this kind of thing. Then there was the chaos gorilla. It was failure imposed on the production availability zone, which would be like shutting down a production data center. So here you are exposing assumption of deployment topology. So seamless recovery in this particular case will be challenge. Rapid redirecting of the traffic that has arrows is also a challenge. And lesson learned from this include your, physiological and virtual disaggregation and compilation of the work was necessary. This is something that they have learned. Then they move into the something which they were calling the chaos com, which simulate a whole region failure. Here, if you remember that when the Amazon DynamoDB service, because Netflix was working with the DynamoDB services, and it experienced an availability issue in the United States in East One region. Thanks to the stress testing, Netflix system include that traffic failover, which allowed for data portability and interoperability. So while other companies they were out for 7 to 8 hours, Netflix was up and running, right? So what they have done, they have written these script, they let them run and keep handling them almost on the daily basis, right? They keep practicing of that how they can simulate, change the network, all that kind of thing. So this is something that they have mastered, that is the chaos engineering.